Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Photographic Memory Podcast. I'm excited to welcome to the program Dr. Shannon Panzo. Dr. Shannon, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great as usual. Weather's great today. It's nice and sunny here and crispy dry, and everything's happening.
Absolutely. It's a nice day here, but it's dark now, but it'll be very warm hopefully tomorrow or semi warm. But again, I'm excited about talking to Dr. Shannon because he is a photographic memory expert, a brain management expert, and also he does mentoring. So visit zuxpro.com for more information. Well, Dr. Shannon, how did this all start? That we are here 35 years later. How did it all start?
Okay. Well, uh, back when I back when I first met Richard, of course, I learned how to do this myself. This is back in 1985, so this is a quite a long time ago. Some of our listeners probably weren't even born then. And so 1985, I was looking for a way to really gain access to my subconscious, learn how to use my subconscious. Well, I had a lot of good things happening with the training, and I really took it to heart. I really started using this training every day of my life, and I was using every part of it. And around five and a half months in, I had something happen which was actually quite a unique thing. But I find out after the fact it isn't quite so unique as what I think it is. But my clients, I always expect miracles to happen every day to them now. Well, I'm jaded a bit at this point here, but back then it was all new to me. Now, whenever at that point in my life, I was actually working for an explosives factory, and I was working on explosives, and we were dealing with explosives that can kill you and things like this. So that was normally what you had to deal with every day. And I was working on this machine. It was called an autoloader. Now the autoloader, what it did, it took zirconium potassium perchlorate, which is 100 times more sensitive to static electricity than hydrogen gas. It took that powder and loaded it into what are called airbag initiators.
Okay.
Okay, so very small amount of powder that was actually going into each initiator. So the initiators themselves weren't a big thing if they went bang. But it's whenever you're loading them up, well, you have to start with a quantity of powder to start with. So that's usually around probably about 2 pounds of powder. Now that's enough to really cause cause a problem if something should happen. So I was working on this machine called autoloader, and it loads these parts. And of course, I'm really, especially when it comes to explosives, I am by the book.
Yeah.
I absolutely followed every direction to the letter. There's no desire to go outside of the boundaries there. There's no desire to be lazy on
Got it.
this because that's when you hurt yourself. So I was there working on this. I was there working on this autoloader at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was doing the graveyard shift, and uh, but before this, before this event happened, about a week before, I started getting premonitions. Now, one of the things that happens with the training is people develop their awareness and perception of the world around them. Also, that includes things like premonitions. You can start having premonitions of things happening around you as well. And this can lead you to being able to understand what's going to be happening to you in the very near future. So that's kind of a handy thing to have in your back pocket whenever you're doing this.
Absolutely.
Now, whenever I was having these premonitions, I was getting premonitions that something was going to happen to me that was very dangerous. Now, for the matter of fact, I could have just stepped out in front of a bus, and that would have been just as dangerous as what I was having, developed. I had no idea. It didn't actually tell me what it was. It just said I was in danger. So I'm going along doing what I normally do. But because I'm dealing with explosives, I decide, well, since I'm dealing with explosives, maybe there's something upcoming that is going to be life threatening to me. So I'm going to take steps to to prepare myself for whatever this is. And this comes with personal programming. It comes with praying, pulling in my guardian angels, asking, their help and guidance. All these different things that are bringing my spiritual,
Right.
spiritual help to bear on this particular circumstance. And again, programming that if I do have something happen, that it won't hurt me. Okay, so this went on for about a week, and I'm there
Right.
doing my job every night at 3 o'clock in the morning. I open up the primary boundary to spray off the bench that's rotating, and this is all protocol, nothing out of the ordinary. So I go to open up the door. And at that particular moment, we had just loaded up full quantity of the powder. At at that particular moment, the machine blows up. I have the
Wow.
door open, and the machine blows up right in my face.
Oh goodness.
I'm I'm hit directly with the fireball.
Wow.
Now, a lot of things occurred at exactly that moment. At exactly that moment, now I had actually started gearing up. I brought in earmuffs, for range shooting. I brought those in instead of these little squishy things that they give you. I I brought in a face shield. Luckily, I did that. I brought in some extra equipment just because I am working with explosives. So okay, that's fine. I go and I'm at the particular moment that all this happens. I find myself in the corner of the room watching it all take place. Now this is an out of body experience, but it's a different type of out of body experience. This is translocation, where I actually still had full control over my body even though I was out of my body. That's what makes it unique. And not too many people, if they have an out of body experience, not too many people can actually control their body at the same time. I was lucky. I was given that authority to do so. So uh, I gave myself instructions to turn around and walk out the door, and that's what I did. Now during this explosion, to, the explosion was so horrendous, it it shook all the buildings in the entire complex. They evacuated all the buildings. The only room that they didn't evacuate was the one that I was in,
Right. Oh my gosh.
because I was working alone. So here I am in this room. The the doors on the back. There's still doors on the back. The explosion blew the doors off the back of the room.
Oh goodness gracious.
The door that I instructed myself to go out through, it opened into the room, so it didn't actually go anywhere. And there's this machine that was the tabletop was about 4 foot tall, and after the explosion, immediately it was only about 2 foot tall.
Okay.
So there's a small multi-million-dollar machine that's now trashed in a big piece of rubble, and I'm there right in the middle of the whole thing, and I catch the fireball right in my chest. I still have the lab jacket with the burn in. I still have that today. So, yes, I actually do have the evidence. And
Okay.
all this was taking place in in a split second. The only thing that I can actually lay something to is I believe that my guardian angel was standing in between me and the explosion, because when the explosion hit me, the only thing I felt was a warm breeze blew over me. That's all that I felt,
Wow.
a warm breeze. Now, I took this same scenario to firemen and explosives experts, and they said, you should have been scattered all over the room. There's no way
Right.
that you could have survived where you were positioned at. There's no way you could do it. You should have been in little bitty pieces. Okay, that's fine. I'm having an out of body experience. I'm telling my body to go out the room. It goes through the door, and as soon as it's out through the door, snap, I'm back in. Okay, it's like,
Crazy.
wow, this is really great, sort of, because one, I'm surviving it. Now,
Exactly.
the so what ends up happening is the guy that was my supervisor, he comes back in and he's shocked. He doesn't know whether he's seeing a live person or if he's seeing a ghost,
Exactly.
because there I am alive. He came back in to get out the what is called the green bag, or the
Oh
green zipper
no.
bag,
Okay.
to gather up what's ever left of me and stick it in the bag. He comes
No.
back in to do that, and
You're
here
there.
I am. I come walking out of the room. And just like the old comic strips, you see the old miner that
Right.
gets blown up in the old comic strips. Yes, the smoke rolls off your body.
Wow.
And I thought that was hilarious, sort of. You can't laugh
Sort of.
too loud
So this
whenever you
experience
just whenever
makes
you're
it.
just
You're right.
there doing what happened.
If you wouldn't have got these exercises, you wouldn't have survived.
I s- I seriously suggest that I probably would not have had much chance of survival. I I've been blessed in, you know getting out of this without damage. I walked away from it.
Wow.
That's why I never bothered to sue the company, because I walked away. I wasn't injured.
Right.
They had other lessons to learn later on, which ultimately, not by my doing, but by
Exactly.
their own doing, um, they kept on operating in an unsafe manner, and they wound up selling the company to South Korea, because they can no longer manage their danger factor. They had
So
some other incidents after
so
that.
basically that, but you were sold on this program after that happened to you and you survived.
Oh yeah. In fact, this is whenever after the fact, after I went through this crazy, crazy day or morning, I was so uh, I was so happy that it was over. I just dusted myself off and went back to work.
Wow.
I went back to work and finished out the shift.
How crazy.
Now, the people around me thought, "Oh, he's gonna lose it. He's gonna go off, off the deep end." No, never did. The management, "Oh, we want you to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist." No, no need. They didn't get it. I never told them about the out of body experience. I told them the rest.
Yeah. Well, you can't. So did you when you talked to Dr. Richard Welsh about what happened, what did he say?
He said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I need a good person here working with me." And so that took on a new love affair. I quit the explosives factory and I went working for Richard Welch.
So do you want to go into that more in detail about working with Dr. Richard Welch, starting maybe next week?
Oh, yeah, we could. But basically, he saw in me, he saw in me something very early on that I didn't see in myself, and that's why he began to mentor me. And that's what has led to me taking this on board as my life calling as well. I continue his work, and that's where it is.
And it's interesting in that story. I cannot wait to get to that point. But you remind me of like you should be in this TV show Heroes that was on NBC where they all had these super ability powers. It was one of my favorite shows ever, Heroes. I don't know if you ever watched it. You should. Maybe you're one of the characters that was written in on that store on that show, and your ability with the photographic memory. Probably it was one of the abilities if anyone's a Heroes fan. But you too can be have super abilities. Just go to zuxpro.com and talk to Dr. Shannon Panzo and learn how you can activate your photographic memory. Isn't that
And
correct?
that's what it's all about. Getting your mind where you're in charge of it, and so that you can be very adaptable, you can be very flexible, very resilient, and whenever you do have premonitions come up, you can actually take advantage of those things, in this case, to save your life.
All right. Well,
Uh,
yeah, wow.
I have I have no clue as to what would have happened if I'd have gone along, experienced the same thing without this training. That's why, see, this training, the explosion simply changed my entire life path to be on the right life path.
Absolutely.
And from that point on, I'm helping other people.
Instead of working in an explosion factory. So that's very good. So go to zuxpro.com now. Check out Dr. Shannon in all different places. And I can't wait to next week when you talk about how, working with Dr. Richard Welsh, how you became, you worked side by side with him, but later on to take on his life's work. So appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And have a great day.
All right. So that was again the Photographic Memory Podcast. Take care, guys.